News, Melbourne, Australia. This video is about the syntax grammar. Remember, I promised you guys a little bit more about it. It's the Chief Health Officer's waffle about how to stay-at-home directions, and when you have a quick look at it, you'll see that it was written by a 5-year-old child in relation to grammar, pronouns. It's just gobbledygook. I'll keep the waffle down, I promise, right? Now, the information, a lot of people say you didn't give us information on IDs and where we could make a donation to the International Common Law Court Foundation, and that's just to help us to get printing done and all the things that we need to keep the system going. We have very deep pockets and they're empty, but that's another story. The information is at the back of this video, the whole thing. Waffle, I do. Okay, if you get bored like I do with other videos, just go wound forward to the end and you'll get the information, the address to get an ID card done, information if you want to make a donation, and the International Common Law Court address. Everything's at the back, so if you're sick of me waffling, just fast forward. Identification cards, information at the back. Just the whole thing. I'm an amateur, I'm not an expert. My syntax grammar is basic, but it gets the message across. Now, there is a form at the back there as well, where I put forward so you can have a look at it. Freeze frame and copy what's on there. These are the details you send back, knowledge of claim, back to the courts, and you ask them to place your case in your jurisdiction. On the back of it, you draw a line and you put a stamp, and that really gives it credibility, and they have to accept it in the courts. Just quickly, a lot of people ask for IDs. I need your photograph, head and shoulders, date of birth, physical address. I can send it to a post office box, no problem. And that's all it takes, right? I can't answer emails, guys, because if I answer 2 or 3 emails, it ends up in 5 emails, which more questions asked. And look, I'm just a one-man band. I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm just doing it because I like to help people and I like to help myself. Anyway, let's have a look at the paperwork and that.
This document was sent out to somebody who was accused. If you look under the Crimes Act, that's the whole Crimes Act itself, right? And they do name what's in it. Anyway, to the accused. Now, the accused is, I'll rub her name out. It was a lady who got a summons for not wearing a mask. So in here is a box. So the accused is in here, and we've got NFPA, Victoria, all the rubbish goes in here. That's one box. Now there's no continuance in this document over to here. So we have the dates, stuff, male, female, date of birth, state, all that rubbish, completely in a box. Again, in a box. Boxes. So what we can do with that there is no continuance, no continuance. And then what is the charge? That's a good question, because that's in a box too. Here's the emergency worker being reckless. I mean, right? That's got nothing to do with the charge either, so it's rubbish. Under what law? That's a very good question, because it's fictional law for a start. It's not common law. And there was a police woman involved in the charge, and she was acting outside jurisdiction because our law is, our oath of office, which doesn't apply anymore because they're a private corporation, would have been under the common law, and this is an act. So really, they have no enforcement rights under that either. So this here has got nothing to do with this bit, and all the regulations, all in acts. Look, yes. It looks good. Signature down the bottom. Rubbish. Type of offence. The whole thing is gobbledygook. The preamble, they call it, of the Chief Health Officer's directions, which we discovered or realized a long time ago that it may have been written by a 5-year-old child. So look at the preambles 1, 2, and 3, and 4, so on. Right. Let's start at the. Now the, as we all know, is an adverb. So we'll give it a 1. And then we move on to purpose. Well, the purpose is a word that can, the purpose of this, the purpose, it's really an adjective, right? So it's the color of it. So it's changing the concept of what's going to come, what's coming next. So, so far in this document, so far, the first two words, we've gone from an adverb to an adjective, which is the color of. And of course, the next word is of. And in this case, it's a pronoun. Of what? So we give it a 4. Because remember, we can't keep writing adjective, pronoun, verb, and so on and so forth. Because if so, we'd be going on forever. And these directions, now this is an adverb. It changes the next word, so we give it a 1. Now, if you remember right, dir, anything starts with dir, is a no contract. It's very hard to write with a mouse. No contract. So that's, here we go. It's already gobbledygook. Now, is the next word. We should look for the adverbs first. This would be the simple thing to look off for the adverbs, and then you look for the pronouns. But let's just go here. Is an adverb, and to is an adverb. To, of course, is in the future tense. So the future tense is something is going to happen. And of course, address, we have add. It starts off with a vowel, which means a no contract. So that word is just gobbledygook, as most of them are. Right. Address the serious. This is, oh my God, this is very serious, right? So the change is an adverb. It's going to change what the next word. So we'll give it a 1. So it's going to change this serious thing here. Well, how serious is it? You know, a serious what? It's the color off. It's actually, it's just saying it's serious. It's coloring the next word. And public what? Public toilets, public health. They're saying here, but both of them are adjectives, right? They're both pronoun or adjectives, right? Color off 3. It just means nothing. Risk what? Risk what? Again, an adjective. Color off. So we have the serious coloring of coloring, right? And then we have the very serious word down here, poised. I mean, yeah, it's a pronoun. Absolute diddly squat. To, well, that's an adverb. It's going to change to what? Now, what do we go on to look at Victoria? Well, Victoria is a verb. So that's one verb in the whole thing. It's really serious stuff. That's good, the verb, right? A buy is an adverb. So the buy is going to change the next thing. Novel. Well, that's diddly squat, so that's 3. That's an adjective, right? And this one here is a pronoun. So the whole thing, as you can see up there, there's only one verb in the whole thing. It's gobbledygook. It has no legal, I hate the term legal, it's fiction as we know, but it has no legal standing. This is written by the legal profession to convince the people who do not understand what they're reading into obeying. And look at all the people who obey this, and it's nothing more than gobbledygook. Now we go back down to these directions. Now we all know that these is a verb. It's going to change the next one. Well, what do we know about the word direction? dir means no contract. So that's a no contract. It has no meaning. It's got no binding. It's nothing. And then we move on to the next one. Require again. Or req is a no contract word. So it's a no contract. No contract. Now everyone. Everyone, and that just includes the animals. It's a pronoun. It's absolute gobbledygook again. Who is an adverb. Who? Doctor Who? Well, doesn't sound right. Who? Ordinary, right? Ordinary resides. Ordinary starts with a vowel again. It's a no contract. Resides again. RES, remember that? No contract. Really hard to write with this. Oh, here we go. How serious are we getting now? In the restricted. In. Adverb. There. Restricted. Again, the color of law. It's just coloring. It's an adjective. So it's just color of law. Area. Restricted area. Oh my gosh, that's very serious stuff. So this guy here is a for pronoun. Rubbish. They love it. They carry on. And then we carry on to. Again, to is an adverb, but it's the future. To proceed to something. So it's an adverb. So that's a one. We're running out of room up here, so we have to go there. So, right? And limit. Well, limit is an adverb. Oh, sorry, is a verb. So that means something. To move. Verbs means to have standing, right? So we'll give that a 2, right? Okay. There instructions. Again, we have instructions and no contract. Starts with a vowel. With others, by. With others. With is an adverb. Others. Now, others can go on. We can talk about that for a little while. Others what? It starts with a vowel, so it's a no contract. No contract. It's just goes on. And there's not even much point. Look, let's go down a bit further down here because we'll go to B. Let's go to B. There's not much room up the top there. Right. So, placing restrictions on gatherings. Placing. Think about placing. It could be anything. We could be placing tiles on a wall. So it's going to color. It's going to color the next word if the next word wasn't restrictions. But we know that now that RES, we're getting used to this now, is a no contract word. It means nothing. Oh God, I can't probably write. I haven't been drinking. It's just that it's not easy. Restrictions on gatherings. Now on is an adverb. And the next word change up. Gatherings. Gatherings is what? Are we gathering, chickens, coops, eggs? It's a color. It's coloring the next word. It's just basically an adjective, right? Again. Including. Well, now, including would be all right, but it starts with a vowel. So it's a no contract word. Including prohibited. Well, prohibited. PRO. No contract. Private. PRIV. No contract. No contract. And it's actually private. Private what? Private in the army. So we'll give it. It's the color of law anyway. So it's rubbish. As I said before, if it wasn't so serious, we'd have to laugh all the way to the bank if we were getting paid for this. Now, gatherings again. Gatherings of what? Again, what we're gathering. It's a pronoun, right? Then we come along here. This is interesting. If you look here, we got brackets. Woo! Now, what does that mean? Anything inside that brackets has got nothing to do with this document. So this doesn't exist. And if we did look ahead, no visitors, there's not even much point. There's not even much point correcting the grammar in there because it doesn't belong to the box at all. They're just having a laugh at you. And then we go down here to 3. Okay, let's look at 3. These directions, we know that's an adverb. Let's get used to doing this. 1, directions is the what? Are we talking about Google directions or what? It's an adjective. It's coloring. It's coloring the next word. Now, must is an adverb. Must be. No. It's just basically proper grammar. Be read. Adverb. And then we've got, again, we have a pronoun. Another 3. We run out of room. 3. Together. Together. It's again the color of it's coloring the word. Like I always call it the color of law. It's changing the whole thing after that. And with is an adverb. And again, another adverb. We've got two adverbs in a row, which is unusual to a certain degree. Directions. Again, we've got, no, that's a no contract. Okay, no contract. Currently. Well, that's a color, that's a complete no-no. It's a pronoun. Not where the paper is written on. It's just absolute gobbledygook. In is an adverb, and the next word is very important, in force. So what's force? Force could be anything. It's a pronoun. It's a waste of time. So the whole thing goes on and on and on. Look, we could spend all day talking, but it gets rather boring. But you can see by that document itself, even if there was mistakes, and there may be, because I'm not an expert, I'm just someone trying to help and learn at the same time. The document itself is not worth the paper it's written on. It has no meaning. And if you were to look at that from an educated point of view, if you were a really good grammar teacher or something, you would say that was written by a 5-year-old. Anyway, I hope it helps a little bit. Let's look at one more. This is the best I can do. I have seen it work to a certain degree, but you have to remember you're dealing with a very slippery bunch of people which no longer abide by the law, but make up the rules as they go along. This was definitely puts the cat among the pigeons, and that's being polite. So the venue, that's where the court is. The court is the venue, and the court's the paperwork, in fact. So we put down the red ensign, which is the true Australian flag, because it was changed without a referendum. Another story. And obviously you wouldn't put Daniel Andrews' identification in there. You would replace it with your own ID. Certificate of identity, diplomat. Don't worry about that spelling there. It's all just made up. Rat-faced Dan, the name goes there. And the surname is in brackets, which is not part of that document. That document is a true identification, because normally if you're asked for identification, you produce a driving license or a passport or a Medicard, which is all their products. Well, they own them all. They own you as well. So what you're now saying, I've got an identification, you don't own me. I'm an independent living man or a living woman. So up the top here, we put down to the register, for the registrar, right? So you find the registrar's name, Mary Jones, wherever the case may be, and the clerk of the court venue with the duty of filing the document in the above lawful venue is there. Now they can't do this because their venue is fiction. So that really upsets them a little bit. And then you put in, say, John Doe or John Michael Doe. So John, put the two little dots, Michael, hyphen or space, or whatever you want to call it, Michael, with the knowledge of claim. Miners make claims. So claim is a stake in the ground, you're making a claim. With lawful identification, I put accept in there because ACC is not a proper word really, because it's a no contract word. So we put in brackets. Okay, so what? It's getting the message across. The invitation, if we want to look at that, we could correct that as well. We have to get the message across somehow. Beneficiary, again, it's in grammar, it's not the best, but it's the best I can do. For the deceased estate. If your surname is the deceased estate, so you put the deceased estate name in here, with the claim of knowledge of wrongdoing and fiction. Everything else is self-explanatory. Human rights, fictional claims, knowledge, fraud, language, with the postal service with the duty of transportation of mail in the compliance with the bill of lading. Now, up the top there, we should put a stamp. Can I just actually? It's too much trouble. But anyway, we put a stamp on there, and you write across the stamp and endorse it. Now, it's useful, but not 100%. Right? With the knowledge of claim, the paperwork, adverb, paperwork, is deemed accepted. Then you sign it in the hyphen, if you like, with the two dots and so on, do it properly. And if you want, then to prove your identification in their thing, you put down PP and then sign it normally, right? But that's entirely up to you. But at the back of it, you turn that around and you make a stroke from one end of the paperwork to the other, right across, and you put a postage stamp down the bottom here, $1 or $1, whatever it is. I think they're $1. I'm not sure the price of stamps. It's brilliant, isn't it? Then you endorse it right across the stamp like that, and then that becomes a legal document. And I don't like the term legal, but it is a lawful and legal document, and it becomes under the bill of landing. So they have to accept this paperwork. They've got no right with that stamp on it. That is their duty. They're breaking a lot of laws by not accepting it. Anyway, just have a look at that. Freeze frame the video. Just freeze frame it there and copy it. Have a look at it. Move it up and down. Have a good look at it again. I'll try and put a little snapshot of this at the back of the video so you can copy it right. Okay, well, this is what, when they send you out those documents in boxes, you correct the documents in boxes, send it back to them, and tell them it's gobbledygook or whatever, the best of your knowledge, and then send them back this, you're going to accept their invitation, but on these grounds. I'm not saying it works. It has worked for some people, but again, these people will change the rules, but it slows them down, and that's for sure.